Were Black Americans really thinner back in the 1970s, or is that just nostalgia talking? Some people insist everyone looked slimmer back then. Others say it's just old photographs fooling us. So, who's right? What if I told you this question has already been answered by decades of medical research? Stay with me, because the answer is much more interesting than you may realize. Recently, someone claimed that black people were much thinner back in the 1970s than they are today. But was that actually true, or are we simply remembering the past through rose-colored glasses? Before you answer, let's examine what the evidence actually says. And if Black Americans really were leaner, what changed? Was it personal choices, or did America itself change? According to historical data from the National Institutes of Health and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Americans in general, including Black Americans, were considerably leaner during the 1970s. Adult obesity rates nationwide were approximately 13 to 15%. Fast forward to the mid-2026, that figure climbed beyond 42%. That's not a small difference. That's an enormous public health transformation. So, what happened over the last 50 years? Did people suddenly lose self-control, or were much bigger forces quietly reshaping everyday life? Researchers point first to changing neighborhoods. Over several decades, many full-service grocery stores gradually disappeared from the lower-income urban communities. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and healthier food choices became extremely hard to find. Meanwhile, fast food restaurants and convenience stores multiplied in the underserved communities. You see, access influences choices. Your options determine your habits before you ever make a decision. But food availability is only part of the story. The next reason may be sitting inside your kitchen right now. Beginning during the 1970s, America's food industry changed dramatically. High fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, and highly processed convenience foods became increasingly common. Families that once prepared most meals from scratch slowly shifted toward fast foods and packaged foods, which were engineered to be inexpensive, shelf-stable, and highly appealing. Here's something fascinating. Compare a restaurant meal from 1975 with one today. Many meals today would have looked enormous back then. Soft drinks, burgers, French fries, everything became larger. Americans consumed roughly 2,160 calories daily in 1970. Today, that average approaches 2,700 calories per day. But calories aren't the whole picture. Could invisible chemicals also be affecting our bodies? Scientists are studying how modern environments differ from those of the 1970s. Today's world contains greater exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals, microplastics, pesticides, and various food packaging compounds. Some research suggests these exposures may influence metabolism, hormone regulation, and how the body stores fat. Researchers continue to study the size of these effects, which are considered an increasingly important area of their investigation. Finally, consider everyday life. In the 1970s, people walked more, worked more physical jobs, played outside more often. Children weren't spending hours looking at smartphones. Families weren't binge-watching streaming services. Everyday living naturally burned more calories. So, was the difference really about stronger willpower, or did 50 years of changes quietly reshape how Americans eat, work, shop, and live? The evidence suggests that Black Americans, along with Americans from every racial background, were generally leaner during the 1970s. Researchers point not to a single cause, but to a combination of changing food environments, increased availability of ultra-processed foods, larger portion sizes, reduced daily physical activity, and other environmental factors that may influence metabolism. Understanding these changes isn't about blaming today's generation, it's about learning from history. Because if we understand what changed, perhaps we can make healthier choices for the future. If someone took a photograph of your neighborhood today, what habits would they see that people living in 1970 would find surprising?